This is going to be the first time I've ever read from a script in one of my videos. I'm just doing it because I'm going to give you quotes from the book Golf the Great Revealer. I had that published in 2022. And I don't want to get those quotes wrong, and I'm going to mention different things in there that I want you to understand. Plus, I've got a couple quotes in here from someone else, and I just don't want to get these wrong. So, I'm going to mention many things I will deal with in these videos, but first you should understand something about me. 23 years ago, I had to quit golf because my back pain was just too difficult to live with when I would play. In a year and a half, I'm going to be 70 years old. Even though I never practice and I have substantial physical limitations, it would be good for me to have a tour quality swing if I'm going to mention the first thing on the list. I've got one of those, and you'll see it later on. In future videos, I will explain and give you answers to everything on the list. So let's get started with the list. Why and how anybody with decent health and flexibility can build a tour quality golf swing. It is not as difficult as 99% of golfers would think. What is the number one reason golfers don't improve or improve very slowly? The essential thing any golfer hoping to become world class must know. Socrates knew 2,500 years ago because he was wise. The sooner you learn this principle that should govern everything you do in golf and life, the faster and more thoroughly you'll improve and the more fulfillment you will experience. Socrates said, "Know thyself." Around 50 years ago, Clint Eastwood said something similar in a movie. He said, "A man's got to know his limitations." I'm sure you can appreciate that and the danger if you don't know your limitations. How to accomplish something very few ever accomplish in golf or life, that being profiting from every difficulty or hardship you face on the golf course and in the course of life. There is something that everybody has within them that will bring success or ensure failure and defeat, and it is entirely in one's control. The single most essential mindset one can have while playing golf to play to one's potential. Most touring pros who can't quite make it to the top tours regularly fail in this aspect, but even the top players in the world struggle in this area when the pressure becomes intense. Why high school boys are the slowest group to learn from their mistakes and how they set themselves up to choke under pressure. Two destructive words can and will cause golfers to crater in their rounds of golf and bring discouragement in life. There is something that all touring pros try to do on every shot they hit, but virtually all amateurs and even most scratch golfers don't do it. Why? They don't know what the touring pros know. Even the best golfers in the world struggle with this aspect, but they can sense it when they fail to do it correctly. The better they become at doing it, the more successful they will be. What is the statement that most golfers frequently make that sets them up to fail and learn nothing from their mistakes? If you've played much golf, especially competitively, you've likely made the statement lots of times. The sooner you realize why it is so destructive, the sooner you will commit to never say it again. Almost anybody frustrated with their golf game or life often makes a mistake that guarantees they will multiply their troubles. Learn what it is and why it is so destructive. This mistake is absolutely devastating to one's progress and ensures failure, yet it is a common mistake that is in our human nature. You have to outgrow it. Once you start to eliminate it from your thoughts, golf and life will become more adventuresome and you'll experience successes you've never had. Nothing can replace a certain element in developing a strong game. No matter one's level in golf, it will always be an essential ingredient. The best players on the planet know its importance, and yet they have to remind themselves of it constantly because they get sloppy. Parents should make sure their children understand it, but how can a parent teach it if they don't understand its importance? Ever heard of playing golf on the edge? It's a term I use to help others improve faster and one of the secrets to making golf and life fun and exciting again. If you have found yourself frustrated with either, this will always precede improvement. Competitive golfers love competition but hate it when they keep making the same mistakes under pressure. One mistake often happens when they reach a certain level of frustration. It happens when they start to allow their emotions to distract them. You must learn to rise above. Most golfers are not disciplined enough to not be distracted by a competitor who plays much better or worse than them. If the other player is much better, they can get intimidated. If the other player is much worse, they can ease up. Both of those will cause a loss of focus. It happens because they haven't identified who their competitor is. Even touring pros often make this mistake. There is something that causes us to squander opportunity after opportunity to learn and grow, but because the solution is out of our comfort zone, we disregard it and even wish it would stay away from us. Isn't that interesting? One of the best abilities one can have in golf or life is dealing with criticism correctly. Sometimes our most needed advice might come through the lips of someone rude, sarcastic, or clumsy in their delivery. Don't toss it aside just because you don't like their approach. There is a tendency everybody has that started in our infancy. That tendency is to feel sorry for ourselves when we are knocked to the ground figuratively or literally. Then we start believing 4 words that can slowly destroy us. In the book, Golf the Great Revealer, I share a story about a lady who dealt with such horrific problems that she fell into that trap. Learn how she came through it and finally helped thousands of others not to fall into that trap. What are those 4 words that keep golfers or anybody in life from reaching their potential and condemn them to a future of frustration, lack of achievement, and eventually become cynical about opportunities? We're going to deal with those 4 words extensively. I'm going to teach you how to avoid the addictive quick fixes that are in every golf magazine and most YouTube videos, and that will eventually program you to reach paralysis by analysis in most of your swings during a round of golf. You're going to hear a lot about what separates the fast learners from those who languish in mediocrity for years on end. Many other subjects I'll cover will be motivated by your questions and comments to the videos. I'll make you a promise. If you'll subscribe to my videos, you'll be fascinated by the information that will be in them. If you have become frustrated with golf, golf will become exciting again. You will find that the journey to better golf has become more fun than you ever imagined. Why? Because you're going to understand things about yourself that you never knew, things that have fed your frustration. You'll also find out how you can improve quicker than you've ever imagined. If you would like to take this exciting journey to better golf and more fulfillment in life, I'm going to ask you to memorize one of the most truthful statements ever made. It was made by Albert Einstein over 100 years ago. Understanding this statement is going to substantially increase the rate at which you learn. Here it is. All motion is relative and all frames of reference are arbitrary. That's a little indistinct. Here is another way of saying it that it may be easier to understand. Anytime something changes, it is changing relative to something else, and you can view these changes from any perspective you wish. Here is an example. 2 boys are facing each other and are about 3 feet apart. A ball is thrown that passes right between them. A minute later, they are asked which way the ball was moving. The first boy said it was moving right to left. The second boy says it was moving left to right. Which boy is correct? They both are if one considers they viewed it from 2 different perspectives. Also consider this. If one of these boys says the other is incorrect, that boy would be wrong. Why? Because he isn't considering it from the other perspective. He is making a decision based upon his current perspective, which will cause him to learn less about the event than if he understood that both of them are correct. If one tends to be closed-minded, understanding this one principle can dramatically change one's life, the quality of their relationships, and the rate in which they learn anything. Why? Because one begins to see much more critical information that is key to one's improvement. Understanding this one principle will not only help one to learn anything faster, it will also create more patience towards others who don't agree with what one has said. A fellow by the name of Marvin Minsky said this: "You don't understand anything until you learn it more than one way." Do you know that is why we have 2 eyes? Each eye sees things from a slightly different perspective than the other eye. That is what gives us depth perception. It helps our spatial awareness, where we are in relation to other things around us. And it's not special awareness, it's spatial awareness. We start to see so much more information that we always used to overlook. I'm going to ask you to start considering 4 words, and that when you understand what they're saying, you can unlock your potential. Here they are. The miracle of gratefulness. As we are on this journey, the miracle of gratefulness will often show itself. We'll get into that more as we progress. Do these things seem complicated? They can be, but my job is simplifying these subjects so that anybody can understand them. It is like going to a good movie. It will take a little time to build a plot, but once the plot is built, the movie becomes an adventure that will captivate your curiosity, interest, and emotions. If it is an excellent movie, one will wish for sequels. There really is no end to this journey we will be on. Why? Because the principles in the movie can be applied to any life and any problem. Don't just take my word for it, though. Make me earn your trust. These videos will start with the fundamentals of golf. I will address things such as the grip, full swing, short game, understanding how to practice, course management, equipment, defining targets, primary, secondary, and intermediate, so that one can reach full commitment before hitting a shot. Controlling emotions, staying in the present, understanding rhythm busters. That isn't the rhythm in one swing. It is talking about what usually destroys a round of golf. Playing on the edge, no regrets, self-evaluating, pre-round warm-up, post-round evaluation, setting goals, the importance of short and long-term goals, defining your competition, swing thoughts, playing the odds, understanding the zone. There will be many other things addressed as we are on this journey that you have already embarked upon by watching this video. As you are awaiting the next video, please remember to memorize the quote from Albert Einstein, because as you go through life, you will see that it opens up a world of understanding within you because it applies to anything that changes. Physical, intellectual, emotional, relationships, learning, comfort zones, habits, and on and on. Anything that changes. As you memorize it, remember this: when any living thing stops changing, it starts dying. This video has been complicated because it is a synopsis of and prepares you for the rest of the videos. I assure you that from now on, the videos will be far simpler. I'll see you in the next video. That's the end of the script, but just remember, in subsequent videos, I'm going to deal with each one of these in detail. I asked a lot of interesting questions in there. I made some interesting statements. The answers to these questions, I can tell you, I'm going to guarantee you they will fascinate you. You'll start to be able to make sense of so much more regarding the improvement of golf. You'll understand why you get confused by sometimes golf articles or seeing someone on YouTube giving instruction. And you might try to implement such changes, but they never did work out for you like you hoped they would. I'm going to help you to understand these things. So please remember to memorize that quote from Albert Einstein, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.